there. Welcome to the Fantastic Forum. I am Billy Ray Bates, your host this time around, and we are at Awesome Con.
Yes,
and it is awesome. And it is big today, big. It has been big all day long, and so we're excited to be here, and we thank the folks at Awesome Con for their hospitality.
Yeah, shouts out. Shout out Ben, Rachel, Penrod, big show.
The topic this time around, what we're going to talk about today is movie adaptations of comic books, and there's a wealth of information I think here we can draw from. We got the DC stuff, we got the Marvel stuff, we got the independent stuff.
Definitely.
So we can talk about what they did right, what they didn't do right, our opinions, etc.
Okay.
So let's get going. Let's introduce our panel, shall we? We have Patrick Michael Strange.
What's going on, y'all?
We have the lovely Shireen Nicole.
Hello.
And we have David Oliver.
Hey, yo.
Hey.
The old.
Okay, so let's launch into this one. Maybe start with maybe each of us just saying a movie adaptation of a comic book that we thought nailed it. Patrick Michael Strange.
My favorite of all time, Sin City.
Yeah.
Robert Rodriguez basically took that graphic novel and used it as his storyboards and just gave that comic book translation just ultimately there. It was there.
And you got to give him
Grayscale
credit.
was there, the colors, the tone, everything was beautiful.
And you got to give them credit the way they cast it as well, because they didn't just get
Monster
famous
cast.
actors to play the part, to make the people coming to the theater. They got actors who knew their roles and enjoyed it and studied the characters straight out the book.
I think
and
we
you got
relaunched
that.
Mickey Rourke again.
Oh,
He did,
man,
You know,
come on, yes.
Then he got the wrestler and it picked off, but
Bruce Willis,
love
everybody.
that film. My
And
favorite.
it took you a minute to immerse yourself in the world because it was so true to the dialogue that Frank Miller wrote that you had to take a moment to realize that you were going somewhere, right? And so that was the thing I enjoyed most about it.
And the cool thing about it, even if you're not a comic book person, you still enjoy the storyline, the action, the stunt work, the makeup. I mean, every aspect of the film covered everything for the person
And it
who
was
is
beautiful.
deep. Oh,
Camera-wise,
yes.
it's a
I love the
classic,
visuals,
film
yeah.
type.
Yeah.
And my thing is how they made the females strong, powerful characters.
Oh, most definitely.
You know, they didn't walk away from it. Yes.
Okay, Shireen, what did you like?
The first thing that comes to my mind at the moment, you ask me tomorrow, it'll be something else.
Yeah.
But at the moment, History of Violence.
Yes.
It was, the endings were very different.
Yeah.
But as far as the essence of History of Violence, it just I don't know, they translated it so well. It felt like an independent film. And it was beautifully done, and I love Viggo Mortensen.
Yes.
And so
He killed it.
He did, and but that film it was beautiful, and it stood on its own. And then when you read the comic book, you're like, wow, it added like subtext. So,
I need to finish it. I only saw a little bit of it. I read the graphic novel. Love the graphic novel. Vertigo title. Good book.
Yeah.
And I got to finish it.
yeah, the ending's
you got me hungry to
different.
finish
So
it
I
now.
need to hear what you think.
Oh, yeah. Because the ending. Oh, so and
The
that's
total
a nugget
different
when you were
ending.
talking about it. Oh, the ending's different. It's so I
it's
really need to check it
different.
out.
And
You
see,
do.
for a movie like that, again, it made me want to go read the book. Because at first I didn't even know it was, until someone told me, and they said, no, this is based on like a comic book. I said, no, not this. This is too serious. This is too powerful to be a comic. And then that's when I said, okay, now I got to go and sit down and read it. Because these things make you do that.
You said this is too powerful to be a comic?
Because most times when you think of a comic book, and you know, I'm not
translate
deep
You think
the
light, you
translation
think for
because
kids.
a lot of people don't really understand the storylines that go into comics. They don't understand the powers behind it, like a good manga. So they don't get it, that these are just like novels. So some people don't understand. So when you get people to go see a movie that's powerful like that, they won't relate the two together. So you're kind of lost in the sauce if you're really not deep into the books.
All right.
So, as a person who's not that deep, I would be like, oh yeah. But no, this is powerful, And again, Viggo just brings it. So of course.
It does.
Definitely.
Okay, so David.
I'm gonna tell you right now, it's difficult to answer that question because for me,
come on, man.
No, I'm telling you, I'm
got
die
thrown
hard
on
about
the line.
storylines, and I hate it when I find key elements shifted in stories. But I say for me, the closest one that made me so enjoy, to see the film, 300.
Okay.
Because again, for me, an action guy, I love it. It was high powered, and the way they shot it. It was about the performances and the wording. It was almost Shakespearean-like for me.
Yeah.
Because most times when you see comic books, people don't enjoy the words. Like I said, they don't understand the seriousness of what it takes to get those lines and the powerful way those characters are developed. So to see, how they took all those men, put it together, and they made the female the queen. She was very powerful. And I love it whenever I have a powerful female character. And the way she took over, you just loved it. And the acting was superb. So you got to want to read the book.
Yes.
And the film makes you want to see it, and then there's sequel.
Yes.
So that just came out this summer, and again, same thing. You would never think this is a comic because it's so powerfully directed, acted, and scripted.
Okay.
Okay, so switching gears then, maybe to some movie adaptations of comic books that didn't quite hit it right or left us disappointed.
1, 2, 3,
There's so many.
4,
Yeah.
5, 6. I'm going to go up to 50 before we blink.
Okay, well, let's hear some.
Well, I'm going to tell you right now, the worst one, and it was Frank Miller, right? A project, The Spirit.
Yes.
With Samuel Jackson.
Yeah,
I mean, again, you got all these high-powered actors in this thing, and you're thinking, oh my God, I'm gonna see a good piece. And you get there and this cheesy dialogue, this guy's talking to himself, or you don't know if he's talking to the cat. So for me, Spirit.
Yeah.
What about you, Shereen?
I will name 2 together. I went to see one, which was Daredevil. And then while I was watching Daredevil, they had a preview for what they called LXG, which was League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. Both.
Sean Connery couldn't save it for you?
No, not even a Scottish accent could make this okay, you know? And that takes a lot of doing.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. I'm sorry, there's one worse. I have to switch gears.
Okay.
I wonder if I know what
Something
you're going
that
to say.
I call the Crowblade,
Oh, okay.
which was Halle Berry's Catwoman.
Oh God,
yeah.
I forgot about that.
They somehow took the crow and Witchblade and jammed it into something weird, and then put Halle Berry in a suit with her toes out so she can climb bricks with it. What? What are you talking about right now?
And,
like,
that was too much CG
what was
too. I didn't
happening?
enjoy that.
And her name wasn't even Selena Kyle. What was happening?
Yes,
Like
yes.
that whole movie. Sometimes when a woman dies, a cat can bring her back. Have you been smoking something? Okay. Sorry.
No. Trust me. That film, that's how bad it was. I forgot all about that one. When she said the words, I did not
You
go
had wiped
there.
it from your memory.
Yes, because I just saw it a couple of weeks ago, and I was like, why, Holly? Why? This was horrible. Even with Sharon Stone. I got to give it to you. You're right, because even Sharon Stone couldn't save it, and she's strong. I mean, one of the most powerful actresses out there, and Holly, and I don't know. There's no way to explain it. Again, the storyline. They messed it up too far. They keep wanting to bank on these actors who already had themselves established a certain demographic to bring in money into the theater. So regardless of what character they play, it's going to bring in money, but that doesn't always work, especially for true comic book fans and anime fans, because they want those characters to be live, but they don't want the storyline to suffer, because you take away from the core elements, then what do you got? You don't have what brought the people in. And that's what kills it. So for me, that movie, God.
Well, I have to wonder too, because I feel like the past, like for a couple years now, when I've gone to see a comic book movie, I feel like they are obligated to just assault me with constant effects and things flying and things breaking and things dying and just everywhere, just every minute. And so I feel like there's no story.
Yes.
I feel like it's all
Yes.
action and noise.
No substance.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, even to tell you the truth, I loved Man of Steel, but I
Okay.
felt like that was just like, okay, slow down. Can you just have a scene with 2 people talking, please? Can you just put 2 people in a room and let them talk? Because it was just like constant, it was too much.
But with that one, I think, and I'm glad you put that up because I watched that earlier, and the thing I liked about that, just to give it a touch, was that they gave the little details to the story that we all were just to assume over the years, because we're talking about, 70 years of Superman or more?
Right.
So to see that and they break it down over that course of the first hour of the film to give us more backstory, it was great for me, but that was just it. But like you said, it was just too much when he finally met Zod and the people from, the Phantom Zone. It was like, too much special effects. Let me just get them doing the dialogue. I can enjoy Superman that way,
Okay.
So yeah, I agree with you on that point.
Okay, well, let's talk more about the Superman thing when we come back. First of all, though, we're going to show you a little something else, and it might even be from AwesomeCon, so we will be back.
Hello there, this is George Perez, and you are watching Fantastic Four, and I have a funny feeling you already know that.
Ulysses Campbell for Fantastic Forum. We're here in Richmond, Virginia at the Virginia Comic Con, and I am here with Joe and K.I.T.T. the Knight Industries 2000. Joe, thanks for being with us with this fabulous car.
Absolutely happy to do it for you.
So now, did you do the work yourself?
I did everything. Everything that you see here, I took a stock Trans Am. I found it in North Carolina back in 2009, so I live up in Northeast PA. Took a one-way flight down to North Carolina, did a little inspection on the car, paid the guy cash, and drove home the Trans Am. Once I got home, I started tearing it apart, and my family was helping me out, and 2.5, 3 years later, here we are.
This is an exact replica of the car, down to the hubcaps on the thing.
Right.
I'm assuming that there is a broader Knight Rider community where other guys do cars and do it. How many other folks with cars do you know?
From what I know about the hobby, just following on the forums, there's probably a couple hundred Knight Rider car owners around the country, and then there's plenty more around the world as well. A lot of them have different stages of completion. Some of them just do an exterior, like an outside conversion with the scanner and stuff. Some of them do the full interior like I've got here as well.
So you did a full mock-up. And the inside of the car looks like, oh.
And not only cosmetics, I mean, the car actually does stuff. I can talk to this car, and it'll say about 80 different things in response to me with the original voices from the TV show. I actually have features that K.I.T.T used to do, like I have an oil slick in the back of this car, so I can push. I love the reaction.
I'm geeking out over this, dude. Go on.
I could drop black water out of the back of the car, just like an oil slick K.I.T.T had. I have a rocket launcher in the back of the car. I can actually fire a rocket from the back, just like K.I.T.T used to do. In the front, I have a CO2 system set up, so I can actually put fires out from the front of the car. It can do a lot of the things that you would have seen in Knight Rider. It's not just a cosmetic car.
Has it got the molecularly bonded alloy?
I wish it would. I wish I could take a hammer like Devin did on that first episode, bang the hood, and have no dents, but that's not going to happen. It's definitely got its issues. And
Can we sit in the car?
no, I'm just kidding. I don't think K.I.T.T will mind. I think he'll be pleasantly happy to welcome you in and show you some of the gadgets inside as well.
Let's do it. Oh, it's got everything.
It's got a lot. You want to see it turn on?
Yes.
All right.
Let's turn it on.
So I'm going to say it quietly. All you have to do is say the words K.I.T.T activate. Just say it fairly loud enough so you can make the car respond.
K.I.T.T activate. Wow.
And if you look above you, wow. Switch right up here. You can turn those two on as well if you like. I'll do it for you. Got that one there. And then the blue one will turn on the lower console down here so you can see it all lit up like a Christmas tree.
And it's even got an interior camera so we can see ourselves.
Yeah, there's two cameras that are mounted in the car. Right now you see an interior camera. If I wanted to switch that, the switch right down here I can use to rocket the other position, and that'll turn on our camera that's in the back of the car. So there's two cameras mounted. Also on the monitor, if I wanted to, I can call up various episodes of the show. I can have it do diagnostics to this screen. There's a lot more I can do with just the cameras.
Oh my God. You mentioned that you've actually got a number of phrases programmed in the original K.I.T.T voice.
Mr. Feeney is what everybody recognized. Boy Meets World.
I still remember it was Dr. Mark Craig from St. Elsewhere.
Yeah. Most of the younger generation doesn't know him for anything, even K.I.T.T. Once they hear the voice, though, they'll recognize, oh, it's Mr. Feeney. So that's what they go with. But yeah, it's all the original voices of the TV show. I can actually say about 80 different things to the car, and the car will respond back with a voice from the show. Just running voice recognition software, basically, where I have the software set up and pre-programmed with voices. So when I speak a phrase, the software plays back a phrase from the show, and it gives the illusion that I'm having a conversation with it.
Oh my God. What do I have to say?
Well, what I have to say is once I get over on your side, I can talk to the microphone that's above you, and you'll be able to hear it, say a variety of things. I can, ask how it's doing, how's your day, give me a theme song, show me a clip on the monitor, whatever I want it to do.
But you say it's voice recognition software, so
Correct.
it's
It's
your
only
voice.
recognizing my voice. Yeah, that's how I control it a little bit.
Well, dude, I can certainly understand that because, Michael and K.I.T.T had a special bond, so it only makes sense that Joe and K.I.T.T have a special
I
bond.
am the new Michael Knight. Even though I may not look like him, I'm a bit shorter than him, but he's got to listen to me now.
Cooler than the Hoff from where I sit.
Thank you.
You are making dreams come true every day with this car.
Yeah, I am. And one of the things that I love to do is, like I said before, just bring back those good memories. So if I'm able to do that for you, put a smile on your face, and I can go home tonight and be a happy man that I made somebody's day.
As Wilton Knight said, one man can make a difference. And that's what we've got with Joe and his fabulous K.I.T.T reproduction.
Thank you very much. You want to go ahead and turn off the dash?
How do I do
All
that?
right, so I'm going to turn off these two switches. If you want to turn off the dash, all you have to do is say the words K.I.T.T deactivate.
K.I.T.T deactivate. Ulysses Campbell for Fantastic Forum here at the Virginia Comic Con. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to the discussion. Today we are talking about movie adaptations of comic books. And Patrick, you're about to tell us what you thought was maybe not done so well as far as a movie adaptation.
Well, I agree with all y'all on your choices. Although there are some redeeming qualities, I have to say, for me. I love Halle Berry, so I enjoyed Catwoman because it's Halle Berry running around almost half naked. So I'll leave it right there.
Tight leather pants.
Exactly. So I will say Fantastic Four Rise of the Silver Surfer really disappointed me. I wanted a little bit more Silver Surfer action. And I really wanted Galactus, not a cloud.
Yes, exactly.
on that?
Yes.
Come on,
See,
I guess.
again, Hollywood messing up the basic concept. When was Galactus a cloud? I had to go back to my comics like,
Hello?
What?
We all remember the purple costume, you know?
Yes, this massive dude with a big chair.
Exactly. We didn't have to bring back Doctor Doom from the first one, you know, and have him kind of powered. Come on, man.
Yeah.
You know?
I think Hollywood thinks that you have to have villains that correspond with the number in the sequel. So it's like two villains, three villains. You're like, no.
Just like with Spider-Man, same
real.
thing. Yeah.
For real.
And that's a good point because Spider-Man 3 did that. It was too many bad guys. It just didn't make sense for me. So this was just stupid.
And Sandman was like, I'm here, but you know
Yeah.
what? I'm okay now. I'm gone.
Right. And then, you know, what's my man, Venom, he just looked like a real punk. I
When
really
does Venom
didn't.
keep taking his mask off?
Again.
It started with Batman, I gotta say. Batman's playing after actually Batman Returns.
Okay.
You know, I think there was fine. We had Catwoman and Penguin. But
Right.
then when they went to Forever,
Yeah.
Too much.
Forever too much.
Way
Too
too
much.
much.
Yes.
Yeah.
Overkill.
Just too much thrown at you. Okay, so what about other movies like maybe V for Vendetta? What did you think of
yes.
that? Was
Yes.
that true to the subject matter? Was it well
Yes.
done?
I thought so.
I thought that thematically the tone was on, but I think it is really hard to adapt Alan Moore.
True.
Because Alan Moore is cerebral, right? And you have a hard time communicating that in a blockbuster film.
Right.
When you said League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
It's Alan Moore. I mean,
That was what?
Yeah.
Watchmen was almost
I was
directly
just about to
translated,
say Watchmen.
and I didn't think
know
it
if I-
worked. Even though it was almost directly translated, there was something missing. There's like this thing that happens when you're reading Watchmen, where you tell people read this and don't stop where you think I want to put this down. That's the moment where it gets good, and everybody follows that. There's not that moment in the movie for me.
Yeah.
Like
No,
you have to
yeah.
have read the book to love that movie.
Right.
I was all right with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I wanted to talk about, if I may, for me, what set up successful comic book adaptations for me was The Crow.
Oh.
Yeah,
Like, or
yes,
at least the new
yes.
wave.
Yeah.
Yes.
There was a wave way back in the day when we had the first Superman films, but then it was a lot of bad stuff, like bad Flash, but then you got The Crow, and it did it so well that it became the paradigm, right, for comic book movies. And then you get Blade. And then
I'm glad
Blade
you said
kicks
that.
it up a notch.
All those Marvel Avengers joints, you got to give it up to Blade for helping pave the way for then the X-Men and then to the
Right.
Yes.
Avengers, everything else. Blade gets no love, and I think it isn't getting as much love as it deserves.
I think it's because of the subsequent movies. But when you go back to Blade 1, I watched that movie 4 times in the theater.
Yes.
Because it was a comic book movie.
I'll give you that.
And it was
Blade
raw.
1, Blade 2, Trinity.
Yeah. See, now that's again where Hollywood steps in with again, as I like to say, because Blade 1 was raw. That was just strictly Wesley at his best, not going over the top, trying to be too cool. And then 2 and 3, it just really 3 went comic booky for me.
You bring
We added Ryan Reynolds. And,
now
Jessica
he
Biel.
was a quirky narrative.
But the minute they brought Whistler back and Karen just didn't exist anymore, they were like, oh, she just doesn't exist. Like,
Right.
woody-woo, what? So Blade 1 for me.
Right.
But I feel like you go from Crow to Blade, and they are what created the modern comic book movie, whether good or bad.
And again, the elements in both of those films that are, similar is again, both of them were raw. They weren't over the top with the acting, weren't over the top with the special effects. It was simply kept to the storyline that was originally in the books.
Character development.
There you go.
There was major character development. That's what made Iron Man 1 so good.
Yes.
Is you got to know Tony Stark.
Yes.
You know, you got to understand who he was and his struggle and the brotherhood between he and Rhodey and his history, and that's what drove that movie.
Yeah.
And so that's why I loved it so much. Yeah.
Now, for me, I'm a hit on 4 films, but they really just 2. And it's almost the same. First, Judge Dredd. Okay? Now, I'm a Stallone fanatic. Okay?
You know, like Stallone and Armand Desante?
Come on, man.
Going at-
I mean, okay, Stallone can carry a film, but a character like Dredd is mysterious. He never takes off the helmet. Okay, and in the newest Judge Dredd, it was just funny to see that they kept it true to him this time and kept the helmet on. And the way they shot it, they kept it very graphic. You know, they really took what the comic book was about, very dark, very gritty, and they kept it true to the characters. And I was like, okay, why didn't they do this the first time? And then the other set is the Incredible Hulk films. The Incredible Hulk with Eric Bana, no. I don't know where they went with that. Now, the Ed Norton one was good because, again, stayed true to the storyline that everybody knows from the TV show. A lot of people are more fanatic about the TV show than the actual comic book. So sometimes you have to touch on it. Right. Because, again, a lot of people left the theater from the first one like, man, why didn't they stick to the TV show? I said, no, they went back to the comic book. Remember, there's different versions almost every 10 years. These comics evolve, so they have to adapt to the new society and the new fans, and that was the problem.
Can I say something?
Yes.
One of my favorite things ever was when Ryan Reynolds got cast as
Green
Green
Lantern.
as Green Lantern, and he's supposed to be not Kyle Rayner. I think he should have been Kyle Rayner. He was Hal Jordan.
Right.
Bad casting, but that's not what this was about.
Right.
But what was the most funny thing is all the people on the internet who were going, Green Lanterns is supposed to be black.
True. Because they grew up with Jon Stewart.
They grew up with Jon Stewart.
Yes.
They're like, why is
Justice
he not?
League Unlimited, yeah.
Just sidebar, as far as adaptation. I mean, that was horrible, but that was funny.
And guess what? That qualifies as another forgettable movie. I mean, look at it. It doesn't even register in our brains until somebody brings it way out of the dust bowl and be like, hey, remember Green Lantern? No, I don't remember that movie. It was sucky. I don't care.
I wanted Jon Stewart, though.
Yes, of course.
I wanted
that's
a
evolution.
Lantern Corps movie.
No, but let me say
Yeah.
this to you about, like she said, character development. Don't change how the character is seen. They made him weak and punky. Hal Jordan wasn't weak. How can you become the Green Lantern if you're about willpower and
you
yet
have no
you're
fear.
weak? Right.
Yeah, because they
It made
didn't
no sense.
understand the concept.
Yes.
And that's what happens. But who did understand the concept is Thomas Jane, who on YouTube made that short Punisher film.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
After
Which
the
is-
Punisher that it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that
short?
That's short.
That short?
On YouTube.
I said that short?
Yes.
Yes,
You gotta
sir.
look that up.
That's the
That was off the chain.
Punisher. That's something to watch.
Put the link right here.
Okay, real quick, as we're starting to wind down, what comic book has not been made into a movie that you think would make a fabulous movie?
I'm going
Even
first.
how would you do it?
Why the Last Man?
Yes.
And 100 Bullets. But as a TV show on HBO. Okay, I'm done.
Okay. And who would you have in these?
Who would I have in them?
Yeah.
Okay, I would have Terrence Stamp play Agent Graves in 100 Bullets. And in Why the Last Man, oh my gosh, you need somebody really goofy and awesome. I don't know. Give me a minute. But Nicole Bahari could be in Why the Last Man. And I don't know, you guys tell me later. Write us. Tell us.
Tell us, let us
Yes.
know.
Send us your
Who should-
comments.
who should be
and David,
Yorick?
what do you think?
Yeah.
Ah, man, that's a tough one. It's been so long since I dove deep into the comics and wanted to get them subverted. The only thing I can say is the New Mutants, who were the younger members of Xavier's school after the X-Men. And when that came out, that was one of my favorite comics, and I always said it would be great to see a bunch of teen actors come out and really play these characters and really bring it to life. So mine, New Mutants, for those who are deep X-Men fans.
I want a Black Panther movie, Marvel.
There you
Stop
go.
playing with my emotions.
That's right.
And give me a Black Panther film.
Idris Elba.
No.
Yes.
No, man.
Yes.
Once again, casting because
Idris
he's
Elba.
pretty. Casting because
Because he's pretty.
He's a good
It
actor.
don't have
yes.
nothing to do with pretty.
No,
that man is a king.
He could not.
That man is
Thank you.
That's a good one.
Thank
But
you.
he is. Okay, first of all, Djimon Hounsou is prettier than Idris Elba, so y'all need
But
to
he
catch
can
that.
really
That's a
bring
model.
the story.
That's
They're
right.
both pretty. I'll
They're
give them both
both
respects.
They're both
Djimon,
great actors.
Yeah, but
Come
no,
on
Black
now.
Diamond is the
Give it
better
to me,
choice.
Marvel.
Yeah.
Give it to him.
That's like.
But no Storm married the Black Panther. Don't do that.
Don't do that.
Don't do that.
Don't do that.
That's like. I'd rather have
I'm cool with
Amon
that. I
play
like
Storm than Halle Berry. Because at least you got something far as a look.
I wanted
you know?
Angela Bassett for my Storm. I'm sorry.
Ooh, okay.
I love Halle Berry, as you
hot,
heard from Catwoman.
yeah.
But I wanted
Yeah.
her as my Storm.
Yes.
I wanted Angela Bassett as Storm too.
Right. Right.
That's
Now
why
what?
we're friends.
Yeah. Now what's your?
Okay, well, this has been fabulous. And send us your comments. Check out the Facebook page. Check out the website for the show. Check out the YouTube, and there you can comment right below, right down there.
Let us know.
Who's prettier, Djimon Hounsou or Idris Elba?
Yeah. Did you see Pacific Rim?
There was too much man for one bodysuit.
Oh. Okay, well, thank you. Thank you to our panelists. This was great.
Yes.
Thank you to AwesomeCon for allowing us to hang out here and have this great discussion. Look for more on AwesomeCon on a future episode of Fantastic Forum. Thank you to our sponsor, Victory Comics.
Yes.
And we will see you next time. Bye.
Victory! 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 Victory!
Join the Fantastic Forum fan community on Facebook and follow us on Twitter for all the latest news and updates.